Hello and welcome to the Pre-Chiro Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Ben Glass. Today we're making a professional chiropractor connection out in the Netherlands with Dr. Carey Sigafoose. Carey, can you get us started by just introducing yourself and reflecting on that moment in life where you were really clear that you wanted to become a chiropractor, what it was that really attracted you to following this path?
Well, my name's Dr. Carey Pabboy Sigafoose. I am a chiropractor. I'm a third generation chiropractor. I don't really think it was a choice. Chiropractic is just part of my family. I mean, my father's Dr. James Sigafoose. His father was in chiropractic. All my brothers and sisters are in chiropractic. I actually wanted to be a teacher, and I taught for years. I taught in Japan and in France, and just sort of realized that when you're born into a chiropractic family, it's sort of kind of what you have to be. So that's it. It's not really wasn't a, wasn't a hard choice.
And talk a little bit more about that inspiration to become a teacher and the experiences you had teaching, and maybe how that relates to becoming a chiropractor and how you use those experiences during the time where you were studying and training up.
Well, I went to University of Florida. I got my degree in American history and American literature. I got my master's in education. Then I worked in Japan for a year teaching at the U.S. Embassy over there. And then I worked for a few months at the French Embassy in France. And then I came back to the States, and I realized I really didn't want to be a teacher anymore. And I sort of missed my family's connection. All my brothers and sisters were chiropractors, father's chiropractor, everyone chiropractor, aunts, uncles, cousins, nieces, nephews. And when you walk around in life and you see people and you're like, oh, they need a chiropractor. That person needs a chiropractor. This person needs a chiropractor. It just felt like the right thing to do. So then I ended up going to life in, I guess it was 95 or 96. Graduated in 99. Um, Went to work for my dad for a few years, then opened up my own practice, and then opened up a second practice, and then ended up moving to Panama, opening up a practice there, and then came back to the States and decided to move to the Netherlands. And I've been here for 6 years, but I've been practicing for about 30 years. So chiropractic was really never a choice. It was just who and what I am.
Yeah, for sure. And can you maybe just touch on some of the experiences you had opening practices in different locations, and just kind of that whole process of what it looks like to think through where you want to practice, how you want to practice, and the possibilities of starting over in a new location, in a new city, a new country, and how you could really actually practice completely different depending on the practice that it is.
Uh, it really all depends on what you want. I always wanted it to be easy peasy, and I've tried every practice, from the big practice with physical therapists in it and chiropractic, and did everything, everything that my dad didn't like. I was a mixer for a while, as far as my father liked to say, and then I just realized that simpler was better. Now, after 6 different practices over 30 different years, I'm practicing in my dream practice, which is here in the Netherlands, and the name of my practice is Gewoon Chiropractic, which in Dutch means just chiropractic. I don't do anything except adjust. That's it. It's simple, and I try to educate people as much as I can, and it just is what it is. And my best answer towards anyone: start simple, start small, and make it your own.
Great advice. What other advice would you give to your niece who's maybe now in chiropractic school about, just your views on the world and chiropractic and
As far as my niece, she comes from a chiropractic family, so she's set. She's working with her mom, working through her mom's practice, My other niece, which you know, Chloe, she's going to go back and work with Kevin and Selena. Selena is the president of the ICA. Kevin has one of the largest practices in the world, seeing an untold amount of people. So she's set. So I would say, if you're not Kenna or Chloe Sigafoose or any of my other nieces or nephews that have that advantage, start smaller, and with a really good message of just chiropractic first. That's it. Not all the other stuff that they teach us in school with the physical therapy and all the other stuff, which is great and it has its place. But just start with chiropractic. Tell the story, the simple story, the subluxation story. Tell that story. Tell it clearly, and when you tell it clearly and simply, it's people understand it. I mean, it's not bullshit. It's very simple, very clean, very clear, and you tell that, you'll be successful no matter what you do.
Yeah, I'm wondering if you could also just maybe tell a simple story to a prospective student to really just introduce them to chiropractic and what it is, and maybe why it's so important to
You mean someone who wants to be a student, or someone who's
somebody who's
already a
at that
chiropractor?
juncture where they're just discovering chiropractic for the first time. They're in college, so they're prime. They're on a trajectory to become a healthcare provider, but they never even considered chiropractic. What is chiropractic and
It's
why?
really funny to me because there's so many kids going through school that don't even know what chiropractic is, and they're becoming chiropractors. That just floors me to begin with. Chiropractic is very simple. Think of chiropractic like an iPhone. You have this really incredible phone, like I'm talking to you on right now. That has a hard drive. The primary thing that drives the phone, and everything else is an app. And that's your body. You got your brain. It's the hard drive. And everything else is an app. You got your skin app, your stomach app, your heart app, your spleen app, your pancreas app, your gallbladder app, your liver app, your hair app, your penis app, your vagina app, every app in the whole entire world. Sometimes the communication between the hard drive and whatever app you're talking about, let's just say T7, your stomach app, it doesn't function properly because the nerve is being impinged. And I call that, my family calls that a subluxation. And that subluxation means that the communication between the hard drive, the brain, and wherever that nerve goes to, in this case, T7, your stomach, isn't functioning properly. And if you can adjust that bone, take the pressure off the nerve, and allow the brain and the stomach to communicate, then the process will calm down and it will work properly. That's chiropractic. Chiropractic is also about pain and strain and symptoms, but that's not what we do the best. What we do the best is make sure that the brain and the body can communicate properly. And that's it. That's literally it. And if you allow the brain and the body to communicate properly, and you eat properly, and you sleep properly, and you get good rest, and you eat good food, and you drink good water, and you do, all the great things that you need to do, then your body will last you for forever and can get you through a whole lot of crap, whatever that crap is, a cold, a flu, whatever. Chiropractic doesn't cure anything, but it allows the body to take care of itself without the use of drugs or surgery. Not that drugs or surgery are bad, because they have their place, but it allows it to do it without it, as long as you take care of it. And that's it. If you want to be a chiropractor, you want to be a chiropractor for one reason: to make sure the brain and the body communicate properly. And that's it. Because if I had to spend the rest of my life just taking care of back pains and neck pains and arm pains and numbness and tingling, I would never be a chiropractor. I like being a chiropractor because I help people live their maximum life at their maximum potential without the use of drugs or surgery, unless they're medically emergency needed. And that's it. That's it. That's it. So learn the human body, learn how it works, learn how the stomach speaks to the brain, learn how the spleen speaks to the brain, learn whatever nerve levels that you're working with communicates with the body, and that's the excitement of being a chiropractor. I mean, the simple fact that I know that the T7 nerve goes to the stomach is exciting to me. And the fact that if I adjust it and I have someone that has stomach problems, by adjusting that, I can help the brain and the body communicate better and work better is exciting to me. And that's what it means to be a chiropractor. Blah, 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 blah.
Mhm. No, so after somebody's gone through hearing this message now and they've decided, okay, I want to become a chiropractor and I want to start to build the types of skills that chiropractors have, whether it's becoming an artist and being creative, or whether it's becoming a scientist and deconstructing maybe complex ideas or concepts. I'm just curious if you could maybe share from your own experience, or your own inner scientist, or your own inner artist, or your own inner philosopher, inner thinker, or your inner teacher is what you're doing now, maybe your inner entrepreneur. These are kind of the ways that I'm trying to kind of create some breadcrumbs, or have you create some breadcrumbs for students to get started on developing the types of professional skill sets that are going to come in handy later on down the road.
Technique. Learn your skill. I mean, there's a billion different chiropractic techniques out there, whether it's, full spine diversified or a McTimoney technique in England or whatever. Learn your skill and believe in it and teach it and educate it. As long as you believe in what you do, you'll be successful at what you do. I mean, that's it. I don't care if you're an activator chiropractor or a McTimoney chiropractor or a full spine chiropractor or even a network chiropractor. It doesn't matter. If you have faith in what you do and you have knowledge in what you do, you will be successful. You just have to be the best at what you do. My father used to say that you could paint the most beautiful painting in the entire world with one color. Just one color. Whether it's white or blue or black or purple. You could paint the most beautiful artwork in the world. He's like, but the ones that make it interesting are the one that learns multiple, learn many different techniques, learn how to use many different colors, because then you make it your own. So it's really about making it your own and believing and loving what you do and being able to explain it simply, because that's it. If it confuses me when you explain it to me, it's going to confuse your patients. So make it simple, make it honest, and make it your own. That's it.
Can you maybe describe what it's like to be in the Netherlands as a chiropractor, or what it was like to be in Panama as a chiropractor, which are both locations that probably don't have much infrastructure in place by the profession or presence of
in the
chiropractic?
Netherlands, we do. In the Netherlands, we have associations. We have the DCF, the Dutch Chiropractic Federation, and we're not primary care physicians like in America, where there's Medicare, Medicaid, and everything else. It's secondary. You have to pay extra for it. In Panama, it was just pure cash, and you told the story, and they understood it or they didn't, and that was the best part. Is because sometimes you just tell the story, and if you don't get it, you're like, okay, see you later. My father used to say, I will only care as much about your health care as you care about it. If you don't care about it, I ain't going to care about it either. If you care a lot, I'm going to care a lot. And that's what it was like in Panama. Over here, the Dutch are they're very much into, healthcare and not using medicine. I mean, and it's pretty amazing. And I love it. But it just depends on where you are, and the story that you tell. It's all about the story.
What do you love so much about the Dutch, the culture, the people, the types of experiences, or what, maybe give us some insights into what types of experiences you have in the life of a chiropractor?
And a life as a chiropractor, that's a long story. I'll just tell you about here. Dutch people really understand health. They understand not using medication. They if you even go to the medical doctor, they won't prescribe you drugs. They won't prescribe you antibiotics. They won't prescribe you this. They want you to, eat better, breathe better, exercise more. They want you to be more healthy. And so I love that about it here. But as far as being a chiropractor, I think my favorite place I ever practiced would have been Panama, because I didn't speak Spanish at that point. And I just said, come in, you need it. And they're like, okay. and that was it. So it was pretty amazing.
I just meant as far as sharing a story or two of the types of experiences you have, like in your office, if you're not taking care of back pain and neck pain only, what other types of experiences
Oh,
are you having with people? Like maybe just describe for a student who's just learning about chiropractic, like how you relate to people, how much time you spend with people, the types of people's reaction or the types of people's
um,
outcomes.
my average adjustment is only 2 to 3 minutes. That's it. It's more talking and educating. Um, I have a lot of patients that come in that can't have babies, and so we adjust them to the point where they finally can have babies. Right now, I have a lot of patients that have MS, patients that have kidney disease, I have patients that have heart disease. They're coming in not for pain, but to make sure that the brain and the body can communicate, and it changes them. I mean, I have patients that could not have babies that have been through, every thing they could possibly go through, and now they have 1 2 3 babies. I have patients that have had kidney disease that they don't have anymore. I have patients that had liver disease, they don't have anymore. I have patients that had chronic obstructive bowel disorder, they don't have anymore. It's but you have to, the hard part is educating them and saying it takes time. Everything takes time. It took time for you to be sick, it's going to take time for you to be healthy, and I love it. It's amazing. So that's what we do. Now when patients come in with back pain or arm pain or numbness or tingling or headaches, I want to work with it. I'm like, hey, let's get rid of your symptoms, but then let's correct the cause. And that's my story. That's what I do. So let's deal with the symptoms, then let's deal with the cause. So that's my story.
That is your story. Is there anything else that you've involved yourself in outside of your practice, being in Europe, being even when you were in Panama or before when you were practicing in the States, being from the family that you come from? Like, I imagine you at least were nudged to take on certain responsibilities. You said Selena's the head of the ICA. I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, no, she's our president. She's the only person ever to be secretary, to be vice president, to be president, and to be the accountant. She's been every one, and she's amazing. So
But for you, have you thought about it, or have you done any like books or
no,
courses,
I just do.
seminars?
What I did is when my father died, um, all of his intellectual property was just going to go away, and I created Sigafoose.com. It's a website that I have. It's where I digitized all my dad's work. I mean, his videotapes, his audio tapes, his books, his brochures, his everything. And so I spent the past 10 years just making sure that his legacy doesn't die, because I mean, God, even when I say it, it's Dr. Jim Sigafoose. I mean, he is the philosopher of chiropractic, one of the founders of Life University, um, one of the most amazing chiropractors I've ever met, and my father, which is pretty cool. So that's what I spent my life, and then I started Sig Talks, which was a podcast like you have podcast. Uh, and it's just putting all my dad's information and out there for people to have, so they can learn and grow and change. I mean, my dad was highly religious. I mean, like the uber Christian, and I call myself a nun. I have no religion, but I believe in a higher power. I believe in geez, universal intelligence. I believe in trees. I believe in the sun comes up. I believe in the moon comes up. But I'm not a religious person. But I know that there's something greater than me, and that's what my father taught, and that's what I like to follow, and that's what I hope stays.
Absolutely. After having done a number of these interviews, the name Sigafoose has come up over 20 times, and obviously your dad touched an entire generation who's now touching the newer generations. I mean, I remember when your dad spoke at an event, and he was pretty old at that point. I remember catching
He's
him.
always been old.
He was walking up some stairs and was unbalanced, and I was able to support him, and he thanked me, and I felt really good about that in that moment, just being there for him. But yeah, it's been a while. So can you maybe just talk about the community that is interacting within kind of the newer cropping of chiropractors that are still following your dad's teachings or still using the work that your dad created to help them stay focused and aligned in their mission?
It's hard to say that because I don't think there's a lot out there. I mean, chiropractic is changing. I mean, there's always going to be like new beginnings or even DE that still goes on. Stu Bittman, amazing man, still, teaches my dad's, you know, education. He's actually coming to the Netherlands next month and going to do a weekend education course at my practice. But it's different from when I was a kid. But it's out there. You just have to search for it. I mean, my father used to say, he's like, the sooner or later they're going to turn us all into medical practitioners. Call them medical practitioners. But we have to fight it and have to still be chiropractors and still follow what we think and still say what we think. And if we do that, we'll be okay. But I don't know. Things are different. They're different than when I was a kid. They're different than when my dad was practicing. And you just have to have faith in what you do, love what you do, focus on what you do, and just be a chiropractor. Believe in the subluxation. And if anyone ever tells you a subluxation is not real, then just unfriend them because it's not worth having people like that in your life. That's my opinion. So.
And just as we wrap up, like, can you maybe share just what your observation is of the profession and the patterns that you're observing? Maybe just any insights that you could see, maybe the opportunities, the challenges, based just on your observation.
Best group in the entire world right now is a group called Chiro Europe, and it happens over here in Malaga, Spain, twice a year. It's head up by Mark and Lynn, and it's one of the few groups that are, well, just like DE is and New Beginnings. They're still focusing on chiropractic and focusing on the subluxation and focusing on chiropractic is not about pains and strains and this and that. I say, if you want to be a chiropractor, then be a really good chiropractor and a subluxation-based chiropractor. If you want to be a physical therapist, then leave the profession and go be a physical therapist or go be an orthopedist. They're all great. I don't have anything bad to say about any of them, but that chiropractic be chiropractic. Focus on the subluxation. Focus on the fact that the brain and the body communicate and they take care of each other. And if you keep that communication free, then the body can take care of itself in any situation. Not that it cures anything. I'm not going to say that. Chiropractic doesn't cure anything, but it gives the body and the human potential to be more than it is. And if you can believe in that and you understand that and you like that, then be a chiropractor. If not, then go be an orthopedist or a physical therapist because, they're great too.
A couple of years ago, Zarek Bartley name dropped you as being a mentor of his. Can you maybe just describe the mentorship relationship that chiropractors have with, emerging chiropractic students who are going into practice? What that dynamic was like for the two of you? I'm just curious if you could maybe.
Well, he's never listened to a damn word I said, so until like months or years later, he's like, "Oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense." Like I told him once. I was like, don't ever be friends with your CA. They're your CA. They're there to work for you, educate patients, take care of them. He's like, you can't be friends with them. And he's like, oh, shut up, you old boomer. I'm like, don't call me a boomer. And sure enough, like a month ago, he's like, yeah, I understand what you mean. You can't be friends with your staff. You got to be the doctor. You got to be the person in control. And it's just, if you find someone that you like, listen to them. I mean, they have more experience than you. Not that they're smarter than you. You might know how to dissect a human body and put it back together than anyone else, but you don't have as much experience. So just listen to them. Doesn't mean that they're right. Doesn't mean that you're wrong, but listen to the experience and learn from it. That's it.
That's great advice. I appreciate it. Is there any schools that you're a fan of right now in the world in general?
Life West, big fan. Life University, because that's where I went, but it's not my favorite right now. Really, really happy with McTimoney. I mean, they teach a different technique, but they're really subluxation based, and they're spreading. They're in Hong Kong now. They're in Madrid. They're in England. Great school, great president. BCC in Spain, Barcelona College of Chiropractic, great. But right now, if I were to like start over again, I would go to Life West in San Francisco.
I'm
It's one of
curious
the
what it is. Yeah, what is it about Life West that you appreciate?
they're holding on to the subluxation based philosophy based chiropractic. They're not letting anyone tell them what to do, and I like that. There's also a new school in Scotland that's opening up, and that's going to be exciting because they're also subluxation based. If you can find a good subluxation based school, where like in France and in England, there's so many schools where they don't even let you say the word subluxation. I mean, they'll kick you out of school, which is just stupid to me. I mean, subluxation is simple. Subluxation is a condition between it's a condition between the body where a vertebra, the one above, below, or both, to the extent of a luxation, impinges the nerve and decreases the information from the brain to the body to wherever that nerve goes to. I mean, it's not like it's some magical fairy word. It's literally a scientific word stating a decrease in information from the brain to the body. So any school that tells you that they don't exist, stay away from. There.
Thank you so much for taking the time to share with any students today, and appreciate it. We'll link to you said it's sigafoose.com is the
Yep,
website?
sigafoose.com. Yep. So,
Last question. Pre-chiropractic, what do you think about the concept of having a pre-chiropractic program in high schools or colleges to
well,
introduce
I did
chiropractic?
pre-chiropractic. I did pre-med at University of Florida, so I have a bachelor's before I went to Life University.
Mhm.
I think the more you know about the human body, the better. End of story. I mean, knowledge is power. You know, if you want to sit down and talk to a medical doctor about a subluxation, you better know the damn human anatomy and what you're talking about. So I don't have a problem with education. The more you get, the better it is.